Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to show you how to restore a bench plane iron cap. This is going to be the fourth video in a series where I'm restoring a rust bucket old number 5. Three down. You can see the left working to the right where I'm at. Now I'm up to the lever cap. As you can see, it won't disappoint you, it is rusted. The lever cap serves a couple purposes. One, it makes it so your iron doesn't have to be really thick like some of the old time irons used to be. It doubles up the strength, and the curved end at the front right there helps direct your shavings up and out of the throat. So this will need some work. The tools that I'm going to use, most of them are sitting right here. Just scraper and sandpaper. Showed you how to make the scraper in the first video of this series, and the sandpaper stick. Restoring an iron cap is pretty much identical to that of doing what the iron was. Start out with the scraper, always scraping in one direction, and making sure you've got a good burr on your scraper before you start. This stuff is really thick. I'm kind of concerned about pitting. Won't know until we get down to see what there actually is. But as you can see already, the magic of this scraper is working. Get down to some nice shiny silver metal underneath. Don't forget to touch up your burr periodically. And you can see here what I'm doing. I'm coming in on that raised curve at the front of the iron from the back. And it's getting me up to almost the halfway point. Get some hard stuff. Then I'm going to turn it around and work on the leading edge of it. So this about finishes up what I can do with the scraper on the front side. Now it's on to the back side. And there's a good look at what it looks like with the front side scraped. The technique for doing the back side of your iron depends on whether it's an old style iron or a new style. The difference being that the old styles had some type of a bluing. That would be the one on the left, and the new style doesn't. So you don't want to remove the bluing, you don't want to do aggressive scraping. What you're going to do to the back side of an old style iron is steel wool. I've got a piece of 3/0 steel wool, and I'm going to start rubbing it. All I'm doing is concentrating on removing the rust, and in the end, even the little bit of stain that might be left on here, it will disappear when I use my dirty oil rag on it. And we'll see how that works. If you have to do some scraping to get some really hard chunks of rust off, there's no choice but to do it. You can also use a kind of a worn old sanding sponge to work on it, but this one I think is good enough just like it is. And we're going to move on to do the other one. There's what it looks like after the steel wool. If you're not happy with the amount of bluing that remains, you can always go to your local gun shop and buy some bluing. It won't be exactly the same, but at least it'll look better. Now we scrape the back side of the iron just like we did the front. And that's it for the back side of the iron. I was a little less aggressive in the scraping of the front side of the iron that had bluing on the back of it, because I want to show you how to maintain the patina just like we did on the irons. I'm going to say cap iron here. So the next step on that one is you can go to the 150 grit and do some gentle sanding, trying to even out what patina remains on it. You can use a sanding block to do the same thing, usually a little bit less aggressive. You're just trying to smooth off the rough spots as much as possible. And you can go to steel wool and attempt to smooth it up and maintain your patina, which everybody knows is rust. The last thing I'm going to do on that iron cap is some 3000 grit paper, just to even it up just a little bit more. Not too much, We'll call it quits with that. See how it looks after some oil and wax. On your newer irons that don't have a lot of rust on the back, you can do them with just steel wool and they come out looking really good. This one had too much rust to do that. So the first thing I want to do is see how bad it is if I can just clean it up with the sanding block, 150 grit paper on it. I initially removed the rust to the curved part of the iron cap by going back and forth across it. And after I'm happy with the results that I've achieved, then I start going back in the direction of the lengthways. The initial sanding with 150 grit on my sanding block revealed some marbling on the back side. You can see it there just like I encountered on the iron. So the best way to take that out is to go over to my lapping station. Same technique as I used on the iron. Even pressure all over initially. Straight back and forth. And take a look and see how it's doing, and adjust your pressure and positioning as required to hit the spots you want to hit. If you find out that your iron has a slight dish to it and you don't want to sand off a lot of metal, come over to the end of your paper and use that to your advantage to get into those spots that are a little bit dished up where you can't get on the perfectly flat paper. That's getting right in there. And after the lapping, I'm back to 150 grit on my sanding block to finish it up. Still going one direction. And this is how it looks after the 150 is done. So now it's on to the front side using pretty much the same process, starting with the 150 grit on sanding block. Just like the back side, maybe the block will do it. If it won't, it's on to lapping station. And I can pretty much tell already this one's going to have to go lapping station. There's some pretty good pitting in it. So now what I'm going to do is just do the front edge. I have a good piece of 150 in here, so it'll cut. You won't have to spend too much time getting pitting out. If your sanding block isn't enough to do it, it goes faster over here. This one was a little bit more pitted than I thought. So lapping station is the place to get it out. I'm working as much as that curved surface as I can by tilting it up and down as I go back and forth over the paper. I can come over to the leading edge over here and work that part. I've got the curved surface looking about as good as it's going to get. Now it's on to the flat part. Flip your iron over periodically and look at it and see where you need to apply more pressure. So I've eliminated most but not all the pitting. Let's take a look at it. Front side's lapped. Now I'm going to go to 150 on the sanding block. This allows me to even up the sanding marks that I made from the lapping paper, apply more pressure surgically to certain spots than what I could on that perfectly flat surface. But the bottom line up front is there was so much rust on this iron cap, it's not going to be perfect. Now I'm switching from 150 to 3000. For now I'm staying the same direction with the sanding just to show you what it's going to end up looking like. This is just to smooth up the 150 grit marks just a little bit. And here's a look at the results. As you can see, there are still visible staining and imperfections in it because the pitting is just too deep to get out. So when that happens and you're not happy with the appearance, which a lot of people would be with this, we're going to do a little different technique and it's going to cover that up some. And that technique would be to do the swirl sanding with 3000 grit paper. I'm starting out with light pressure because I don't want it to scratch it any more than what I have to. I'm going to work the entire top side of the iron. And here's what it looks like after swirl sanding both the front and the back of the iron. Front and the back. The next thing to do is to flatten this leading edge right here where it touches the iron. You want it to be a perfect match. You don't want any shavings to get jammed up underneath it. Take it over to your lapping station. Notice I'm not parallel. The original grind on that wasn't. You want to tilt it down like this and then straight back and forth. Make a couple passes, take a look at it, see if you got to make adjustments to the pressure or your angle, and finish it up. A little bit more and this one's done. Now that I've got the leading edge perfectly flat, it's on to the finishing steps. We're almost done. What I need to do now is the outside edges of the iron cap. Just like we did on the plain iron. 2 passes, take a look at it, and finish it up all the way around. Remember to keep it at a 90-degree angle while you're working so you're not rounding any of those sharp corners over. You want them to look nice and crisp. And that's it for the edges. Here's how they look. All the way around looking like new. Next, you want to clean out these openings here. The screw one's good because there was a screw in there, but this opening and the upper opening, just roll or shape your sandpaper to fit and get it in there and clean them up. And the only thing left to do on both of these beautiful old iron caps is to give them a good coat of dirty oil, wipe them off, followed by wax on and wax off. And in the end, both of the finished products look good in their own way. Left hand side, older iron with bluing on the back, maintaining almost all of its patina. Right hand side was a really rusted mess that probably should have never came out looking as good as what it does, but there it is. It's returned to the lineup, and next video it's going to be a lever cap. Oh, isn't that a mess? So just remember, like my stunning wood wigs, they're not all created equal. Your results are going to vary. Sometimes you can take a rusted mess and turn it out into a beautiful piece, and sometimes you can't. Well, it's done for today. You know what time it is. Time for supper. Bye.